Hey everybody, it's Wither and Bloom Studios, and we're excited to be here today. We are actually going to do something a little bit out of the ordinary for us, and we are going to play test the new tabletop role-playing game, Daggerheart, which we're really excited about. We've been excited about this because for a long time we knew that Critical Role was in the process of developing this game. As you know, we are really avid big D&D players, and we saw some of the game mechanics and we were like really excited for this. So when Daggerheart went into open beta and the Critical Role people reached out and said, listen, we would like you to play test this game a lot and try to break it, we thought, all right, we're totally on this. So here we are. Today we're going to do a session 0 and we're going to roll up characters and talk about things like the ancestries and the domains and different aspects of the game, and kind of share some opinions. And then in our next video, we're actually going to be doing a one-shot session with those very characters. Now, even though I normally play the GM, I'm going to be rolling up a character as well today because I can't wait to try this out. And then that character hopefully will become an NPC in our one-shot. So are you guys all ready to do this?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm psyched.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what you all, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, but what are you most, each one of you, what are you most excited about or interested in, or what catches your curiosity?
I'm really excited to see what the changes to like the battle styles are, because, you know, sometimes battles in other games I get a little tired, and I'm excited to see a change of pace, and I hope I like it more.
Cool.
So
Cool. What about you, Rich?
I'm really excited about the fact that we're going to be holding cards. I think that, like, I played Magic the Gathering a long time, so, like, the fact that, like, I have my spells right in front of me and, like, I can see everything and, like, mix and match it and put it together like I'm building a deck a little bit feels really exciting.
You like stuff in your hands.
I like tangible things.
Things in your
I want
hands.
to touch.
Yeah. I'm kind of really intrigued and excited to play with the hope and fear system, generating different tokens to spend, and it's a whole different aspect to the games that we would standardly play. I think it's different. It's cool. I like the this game's played on a duality dice system with 2d12s, and you know, based on how you roll, it might be fear, might be hope. You gain points, DM gains points. It's kind of different. It's kind of cool. I like the idea in that.
You guys touched on two things that are in my sort of list of things I'm excited about. So one, Rich, the card thing. I was a Magic the Gathering player. I collected Pokemon cards. And this idea that once this game gets into full production, and you can, I'm assuming, you can go out and buy packs of cards around your domain that you can begin to collect and both, you know, have in your vault or into your, what's it called again when it's on the table and you're using it? We're going to go into the rules in a little bit.
Yeah.
We're still a little rusty about a lot of the terms.
Yep.
But these cards actually, almost like spell slots, they get sort of loaded
Oh,
and
yeah, it's
used.
kind of like your loadout.
Your loadout.
Yeah. It's
Loadout.
your...
I just love this idea that I've got this collection, because I'm a collector, this collection of cards. And the second thing is what Garret mentioned about the hope and fear system. And the reason I'm excited about hope and fear is in other tabletop role-playing games, the dice rolls determine mechanics, game mechanics, outcomes, and decisions. And they do it in kind of a very sort of dry, analytical, objective way. But the hope and fear system now sort of makes a new narrative twist that determines not only what happens, but the color, tone, or feel of what happens. And that, to me, by adding this narrative component to dice rolls, that's super interesting. So I'm psyched about that.
Yeah.
I think the game itself has a more narrative focus.
I think
like
it's
like
very-
combat
yeah.
in its own.
I think it's very
so
narrative
like
driven.
this second this happens. It's like as a culmination, what's happening, and theatrically, how does it look?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
agreed. And flow is so when you're playing with, you know, you're trying to role play, and you've got this narrative you're trying to develop. Flow is enormously important. And when you've got to slam on the brakes to sort of change into a different time mode. Notice how careful I'm being in the way I'm presenting all of these sort of generalities. You know, it's kind of we've played with it for years, and it's okay, but we've always hoped for something better. I've been talking for a long time about eliminating initiative in our games.
Yeah.
So,
And
All
this
right.
game bases off of that. It's
Yeah.
a different type of initiative, different type of gameplay.
Yeah, that's definitely a highlight. So before we came on camera, we kind of talked a little bit about what we were going to roll up, so we didn't muck about.
Yeah.
Garret, what do you decide you're
Oh
going to do
man,
tonight?
you're making me go first.
Yeah.
I am. Well, speaking of cards, we printed out cards. We got different stuff. I am going to be playing a Sorcerer Ribbits. New class. It's frog people.
Got that tongue.
Yeah. It has a way to attack with its tongue. Something different, something interesting. I don't know. I think we all kind of pick something a little different than your standard human, elf, whatever we might play in our other type of games.
And I'm going to be honest, you picking the ribbit actually is far more comfortable to me than Nate picking the ribbit, because I think putting that weapon in Nate's hands probably would have been an enormous mistake.
No, that might have been.
Listen, all right?
Yeah.
I'm doing a bit here.
I don't know if it would have been called a weapon.
No,
right.
no.
So,
Hey.
still working on everything else. I don't have a name yet. I don't know, but
We'll
that's
get there.
basic. Yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to draw it up. Character creation.
Nice. Rich, what are you doing?
How do you want me to stay on the same depth of description?
Yeah, just what are you going to roll up today, just so we can,
All right. So I decided I'm going to play something kind of out of my comfort zone, and I normally wouldn't play a fairy, but I read that they kind of describe fairies a little
hard.
bit more
Having trouble
like.
focusing.
Did you get it? Is that it?
Do the
I'll
little-
put it up on the screen,
All right.
so don't worry about it.
They describe fairies a little bit more insect-like than I've ever seen them described before. So the fact that they have like insect background made me really drawn to it. And then I'm also gonna play a rogue.
Yeah. Most of the fairies have wings and stuff, right?
Yeah, the fairy
even if
has
they're
wings.
a regular insect, they're like this fey kind of.
A fey insect.
Yeah, it's like a fey insect.
Like a
right?
mix between like a humanoid and give it some insect-like
Yeah.
features. And I really was drawn to that. And I'm gonna be a little sneaky guy with the rogue. So.
That sort of vibe. All right, I am doing a druid clank. So a clank is sort of like a robot and can be made out of like metal, wood, clay, all these sorts of things. This clank specifically, I want to be made completely out of metal, which is to contrast with the fact that he's a druid. Feels like technology and earth-like powers don't really mix well, and I think I'm excited to play a character who is so conflicted. First of all, like, why am I here? Why was I created? Why am I this way? And why do I have these completely like polar opposite powers? I think the internal struggle of a character who's struggling to grasp emotion as a mechanical creature, could open up some opportunities for some really funny dry humor, but but I think it'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love that contrast. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things about this that's so interesting too, is there are so many possible combinations of ancestry, class, and community, which is what they call them, that you can really create an infinite variety of complex characters. I am going to be making a Galapa. The Galapa is a humanoid turtle. And my Galapa, did we say our names yet?
No.
We didn't say our names yet?
Yeah, I'm
Good.
still working
Good.
on
We'll
that.
work on the name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're still working on your name.
Yeah.
So my Galapa is actually going to be a bard. And one of the reasons I chose the bard was after picking Galapa and this turtle humanoid, the first thing I thought of was Shel Silverstein's what was it? The Something Did Not Say No. Hang on.
I was gonna say where
The
sidewalk
turtle did not
ends.
say no? No, it's not. It's the bagpipes did not say no. The bagpipes. Because basically it's a poem about a turtle who wanders up on a set of bagpipes that have washed ashore. And he falls in love with her, and he asks her all these beautiful questions, and she never says no. And he cuddles and squeezes her, and she says, "Ayuga." And then he falls out of love with her because he thinks it's a heartless thing to say. And poetically, it's actually gorgeously written, and maybe next session I'll read it for you. But I can't help but think that a
No
turtle's
way.
gotta be a bard. And maybe in our adventure, I'll marry a set of bagpipes.
You should.
Anyway. Damn.
All right.
All right, so we should I guess we should kind of go through this step by step.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Garret, in front of you,
Right, yes.
I have a camera rolling. So if there's any reference that we need for anything, I can always pull up everything that's on your desk.
Yes.
So, which would be, I
we
think,
could.
helpful for people to see things like character sheets and us filling them out. So that's kind of a good thing.
So yeah, I mean, well, we all chose a class.
Yes. And you could say that the classes all have different character sheets.
Yes, every class has a different character sheet based on, I forget what makes them different per character. Oh, it gives you the information that you would need to pull from your different domains and stuff like that. So they break it out a little easier, you know, as a quick, you know, character creation.
Yeah.
Right, and on top of that, I mean, I think we should go over for everybody. So in this game, it is referred to as your ancestry, and so the ancestries. I mean, you know that we've all chosen. We have a ribbit, we have a fairy, we have a clink, clank. We have a clank.
Clank, clink.
Clink, clank, clink, clank. And we have a galapa. But the various ones that you can draw from or play from are clank, daemon, dracona, dwarf, elf, fairy, faun, furbolg, fungrel, galapa, giant, goblin, halfling, human, Qatari, orc, ribbit, and simia. So quite a few to choose from here, which is kind of cool. And I know that, Garret, you have all of those cards printed out.
I do. I printed a ton of cards. You know, kind of on what Rich was saying, cards, they're really cool to be able to access them and hold on to them and whatnot. So, yeah, I printed a ton of cards, laminated them, cut them out. Yeah. Got a little excited about it.
Really, really cool.
I think the aspect of the cards is, it's really cool.
Yeah.
As a quick reference, and, you know, all of us are really fresh to this, and, you know, we're able to just figure out what we're going to play and just hand out some cards and pick what you want.
And get started.
Instead of going through just different books and different online things or whatever, but I think the card thing is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I love the books. Like, I love collecting books and going through all of that material. But I feel like this is a much quicker, you can get on board and going in a much more efficient way.
Yes.
And it still has the depth. Okay, so once you've picked your ancestry and your class, what do? We have to choose our community.
Yes. It's kind of like your
we also
background.
we also have the subclass to pick. Also.
Oh, right. Nice.
Yeah, we have the subclass and community to pick.
I have mine picked out if you want to start.
I have not picked mine out. So if you want to go the opposite direction around the table, we could do that.
Or yeah, I can start.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and then we can go to you, and then hopefully we'll stall enough for.
Yeah, from the. Yeah, I was cutting out cards also.
That's
Yeah,
true. He was
that
working
sounds
very hard.
lazy, man.
I was
Pulling a lot of
handing
weight.
out cards while you guys were picking.
Get your
so-
priorities straight, man.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Todd, is that okay? You want us to start going around?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Word.
You start.
So for my community, I chose Wanderborn, which is basically you were raised as a nomad, never having a permanent home. I think this kind of makes sense for the backstory I want to go for my character, who suddenly finds that they're alive and they're just out in the middle of nowhere and they have to make sense of the world without any help. So I don't really think they're gonna have like met real people yet. I mean, maybe in like strange passings, but yeah, bro's gonna be a nomad.
A little antisocial.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't get that update yet. It's got to run from the command line, but yeah.
And was that your sub? Sorry.
Or
that's
my
your
community.
What's your subclass?
I didn't choose one. I don't know where they are.
Subclass was in that stack of cards that I gave you. It
Looks
says
like
foundation.
Yes, it's your foundation,
It
actually.
says foundation. There should be 2 of them without numbers on it. And you would pick that.
Foundation. Oh, okay.
So there's 2
I know
choices.
which one I wanted.
Go ahead.
I looked at this one card and I was like, this is the one. All right, so for a subclass, I'm choosing Warden of the Elements. Sorry, I'm just going to have to read off this for a bit. Just summarize. Basically, you can use different elemental powers. Your typical fire, earth, water, air, and they give you some pretty cool elemental either like abilities or defenses. I think it'd be really fun to roleplay with these 4 different options. Sort of tailor it to different situations.
Nice. Rich, what about your community and foundation?
Yes. So for my community, I chose to also go along my character's kind of ancestry. For the insect, I chose to kind of base this character off of. I chose a black widow spider, and those creatures kind of like exist in the shadows. They like dark, damp environments. And so I thought it was fitting to choose the Underborn for my community, which is kind of anyone who existed in an underground society. And you basically get advantage on all things that happen in darkness or shadow places, pretty much. Things such as advantage on rolls to hide, investigate, and perceive detail, pretty much. I thought that would be really good for a rogue. And as far as my subclass, I chose Nightwalker, which basically lets me teleport from shadow to shadow, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of all it does.
That's
but
dope.
I felt like it was super
dope.
fitting for this
Can
character.
I
You
get
know-
the cards?
I have a strange feeling that our
I
characters.
think they're over
Oh.
there, maybe?
Are they? Yeah, they're over
Yeah,
there.
those. Yeah. Okay.
I have a strange feeling that our characters are going to get along in a really weird way.
I agree.
2 like really secluded from society. I think they'll get each other in that
Yeah,
respect, and I
little-
feel like that's a nice.
I feel like it'll be a little
into-
standoffish at first.
Right?
You know,
but in that moment of understanding, like, oh, you come from a completely different place, but you know where I'm coming from, and I think that'll mesh us together as a group better.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that too. And later, when we get into it, there's an interesting thing in the beta rule set that really talks, or it might even be on the character sheet. I'm not sure.
Oh, the
And
connections.
yes, it is on the character sheet about character description and circling words to create sort of like a sentence. I just love that.
Yeah.
But in terms of my my foundation and my community, given a Galapa, you would assume that I would choose Seaborn as a community because it seems to make sense. However, I envision mine being more of a Loreborn community, which Loreborn values the preservation of history, education, and so I see my Galapa being a slower, wordier, intellectual. And even though I kind of wanted to go troubadour and like bust into some Journey Don't Stop Believin' every once in a while, and singing at the microphone, I feel like I'm going to be more of a poet than anything else. Now, in terms of my foundation, I'm definitely choosing wordsmith. That absolutely makes the most sense. And there's some really cool stuff in this, like heart of a poet. When speaking to a person you've been trying to impress, persuade, or offend, love that, use at least 3 rhyming words and spend a hope to add 1d4 to the action roll against them.
Ooh.
It's like, so I can use my words to give me advantage in the world, which, that's a beautiful thing.
You should try to use
Gives
the
you
word
something
orange.
to play with.
Orange to
Yeah.
rhyme with orange?
Yeah.
I don't
Eminem
think
did it.
nothing rhymes with orange.
Eminem did it. Hey.
Really?
Yeah, there's a video of him being like, if you just like
Door hinge.
rearrange, if you just sort of like play
Okay.
with the way the syllables are stressed, you could rhyme things with
Well,
orange.
here's a Loreborn card.
Thank you very much.
Passing over card.
Appreciate the Lord.
All right, you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
My
Go
turn?
ahead.
All right. Oof. All right, we're just gonna kind of eeny, meeny, miny, mo because I like both of these. For my foundation, I really think I'm gonna go with the element origin, which you get to pick an element, which I believe I'm gonna pick water, just going off of the Ribbit theme. You can channel this element into unique, harmless effects. You may also spend a hope to describe how you control over this element helps a current action. You either add +2 to the action roll before making it, or +3 to the damage. It's kind of
Nice.
interesting.
That's flavor.
The other option was Primal Origin, which is your standard sorcerer stuff, adding distance to the spell, extra damage or whatnot. And I was also kind of between two. You know, you mentioned the Seaborn, kind of goes with the Ribbit theme, but I'm also looking at the Wildborn. And I think I like the ability that comes with the Wildborn a little more. You get Lightfoot. Your movement is naturally silent. You gain advantage on any action rolls which you make to move without being heard. You can spend a hope to also grant this ability to an ally while you stay within very close range of you.
Ooh.
So I like that. It's kind of almost like a, you know, sneaky ability.
Yeah.
I like the Lightfoot thing, and
That's gonna be cool.
yeah, I think it kind of goes with the Ribbit theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like everything you picked kind of like weaved in
Kind of
and out of
going
each
into a
other. It's
theme.
nice.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah, that's it. And you know, I like the different options to pick from and stuff. So it's cool.
Yeah, man.
All right, what do we got?
Word.
What's
We
next?
do names.
We can do names if I don't know if Garrett's ready on.
Go around the board.
Go around the board.
Go around the board.
My character is named the Swaddler.
What'd you say?
Oh.
The Swaddler.
The Swaddler.
Oh, okay.
Great. Are you ready? You're looking at me like you want to go next. Do you want me to go next?
Yes, please. I'm gonna
Okay.
take a few more seconds.
My Galapagos name. This is kind of problematic, and I'm realizing I reserve the right to change
here
this
we go.
Galapagos name before next week. But before I thought of the name of this character before I thought of all the traits and the poetry and the Shel Silverstein thing. And so when I spelled it out, I was like, oh, that can be pronounced so many different ways. So it's Nutter, like nutter, but it could also be neuter. But both of those words are really problematic and weirdly related. So I think, given that we just said about Eminem and changing the way things are pronounced, his name is Nutter.
Oh, classy.
So
it
Nutter.
is.
But the thing about
Nutter.
Nutter is everyone always pronounces his name wrong, and it will frustrate the hell out of him. Okay? So it's
Nutter.
Nutter. But people will be like,
Yeah.
Master Nutter? Like it's Nutter.
Okay,
Anyway,
I like that.
All right.
I like that. You know, in the character creation, they kind of give you some basic names and whatnot, and I found the one on an RPG name generator, but my first name's Ginkgo. You know, I like it. It just stood out. It was one of the first things.
It's a good trait.
And his last name, which I'm getting from the family names off of the character creation sheet, is Fury. So he's Ginkgo Fury.
Oh,
I don't know.
I like that.
It's kind of cool. I
Ginkgo
like it. He's
Fury.
Ginkgo Fury.
Sounds like an ability.
It
Ginkgo
does. Yeah,
Fury.
Ginkgo Fury.
I love that.
So, I don't know.
Perfect.
Kind of cool.
That's perfect.
That's tight. I
I
like
need
that.
a
Have
last
fun
name
with
too.
this. Yeah.
What you got?
So,
this individual, this Clank, doesn't really know what names are. So they refer to themselves just as environmental interface. Not as like that is my name, but because that is how they understand, how they're understanding their body. They use it to interface with the world around it. So they are to themselves the environmental interface.
I love that.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
all
That's
right.
beautiful.
All right.
Wait a minute, is this going to become our game?
I kind of
This
wanted
be our
to.
forever
We're
game?
gonna, we're gonna have fun with this.
I'm already loving the flavor
Yeah.
of this.
It seems like I don't know why, but we went super abstract with the names.
Yeah, we
like
did.
we didn't follow any rules,
nope.
and it
Yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah,
I like this.
Yeah, and actually, here's the thing, and this is what I love about organic storytelling and idea generation, is I try not to think of too much beforehand, right? I try to allow circumstances and chance encounters to sort of help me roll. And so, you know, like when I saw wordsmith on my foundation card, I'm like, yes, a Galapa wordsmith. And then I thought of Shel Silverstein. And then I thought of the bagpipe who didn't say no. And then I thought of the conflict with the name and the intellectual side of him. And now I'm thinking of the voice that I want to use. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going to use my Deckard Cain voice from Diablo. And so new tower is going to sound like this, because I think I wanted to be a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
As
So-
a turtle, yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's all organically coming together, and part of that is like there's just something really inspiring about the tool set here. So anyway,
Should we do voices?
you don't have to.
You
Like,
can do a voice if you want.
You can do a voice,
you
but I'm never.
I'm here to have fun and learn a new game.
Yeah, that's it. You know, and I got a throw out.
Not a voice person, but
No, and a shout out to Matt Colville, who's got a great video online about you not having to use voice. Voices are not role play, right? And I agree with that. I believe role play is a much deeper thing than just having the
Right.
voice, but I enjoy doing the voice. And
Right.
some people don't enjoy doing the voice, and it's like if you don't. It's not gonna make or break a game.
Totally.
Right.
So
Totally.
Well, I was hoping to play around with a wee bit of a Scottish accent. I've not got it nailed yet, but I think between now and session 1, I can research it a bit. But I think with a robot, I might have to go a little
Kind of like a
bland.
Scottish robot.
I think if he like had a chance encounter, like you meet this robot that's really not well socialized, but he has a thick fucking Scottish accent.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really funny.
yeah,
So-
especially if he was either awkward or just an asshole, or
Yeah.
like if he had some
Yeah.
social issue.
Right. And
know.
maybe he can like switch from accent to accent. If he gets hit too hard, he reboots and just comes back like, sorry, whoever created me downloaded 5,000 hours of traditional Scottish music, and
That's incredible.
Wow.
Sorry.
Just shoot out whatever you feel
Yeah.
like, man.
Yeah.
exactly.
I love
I
that.
freaking
So-
love that too.
I'm gonna practice the accent.
Okay.
That'll be fun.
That's beautiful.
What do we think so far of it?
I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
Okay.
idea.
I like the
All right.
switchability. Switchability is cool.
Or like maybe like every day you wake up with like a different random accent, like generated.
Yeah, I think whoever created this clank was just fucking around
Chaotic.
and making some weird ass things happen.
I love it. Rich, what about you?
I'm thinking I'm gonna do kind of like a little guy voice. Hello, my name is the Swaddler. It kind of sounds like a Simpsons character now. I'm thinking about it.
It's fucking Marge Simpson.
Marge, yeah.
Yeah.
A little like this. You know what I mean?
Say, oh,
Yep.
homie.
Oh, homie.
Oh my God,
Like,
that's actually really good.
That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I like that.
Wow.
Garrett's just like, yep,
Yep.
let's move on.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
That's right here. That's right here. Ribbit.
That's all you need, baby.
Ribbit. What's
Yep.
up, Ribbit?
Yep.
You're our rock, man. You're our rock. Our grounding rock.
Sir.
All right, so should we get into
All right. What do we got to do next?
we've got to do things like we've got to do experiences. We've got to fill out our character traits. How about we assign our character traits, because that's actually really important.
That would be that. Essentially, that's the next thing on the.
That's our
On the
ability
list.
scores.
Yes.
Yeah,
that would be
basically.
ability
So
scores.
character traits here are agility, strength, finesse, instinct, presence, and knowledge. And specifically, agility would be sprint, leap, maneuver. Strength would be lift, smash, grapple. Finesse would be control, hide, tinker. Instinct is perceive, sense, navigate. Presence is charm, perform, deceive. And knowledge is recall, analyze, and comprehend. Now, it does say on your foundation card, it says for spellcasting for me, for the bard, my spellcast trait is presence. So given when I start to apply my numbers, I want to put my big number in presence.
Well, on adding on to that, if you guys look, the second sheet of the character sheets that I handed out
Yeah.
gives you recommended, like your suggested traits are at the top corner.
Oh, nice.
So you can go off of that, or if you want to feel like, you're not a strong person, but you got a little more, presence, which would
Right.
be like charisma, you can switch them around. Or, those are just recommended. So,
Garret, I'm sorry, where does it have the recommended ones?
So go to the second page of the character sheet. It's
yeah.
also going to say like Bard at the top,
Yep.
and then it says suggested traits.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yep.
So yeah, you could go off of those, or
Nice.
I kind of want to point out something that it looks super hard to min-max on here. because so many abilities that you need are kind of spread out throughout
Right.
all of these. Like I saw something I would need in almost every ability.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah, a
mean?
little
Right.
bit. Yeah.
Interesting.
I like the fact that the dice roll as the primary indicator for these traits has sort of been removed. I don't know if that will always be an absolute in the game, but I do love this. So in this, what you're doing, just to kind of explain how this goes down, is you have to give out. Let's see. You have a +2, you have a 2 +1s, you have 2 zeros, and you have a -1, and you have to spread those across your 6 traits in a way that's appropriate for your character, or maybe to create something totally unique. Unlike rolling dice, where it's typically like a 3d6 system or a 4d6 removing the lowest. Can't speak. I like that this basically just says you're going to have 1 blowout capability, you're going to be above average in 2, average in 2, and you have to find a place to put something that's a little challenging for yourself, which I love. So given that, let's fill these out.
Presence is definitely a -1. Definitely.
That's right, I'm going to make up for that and put my +2 in presence.
Strength is a dump score for me.
I feel like
Me too. My little frog guy.
Our little
Your
guy
little
is.
insect,
I'm a little
yeah.
guy, man. I'm not
Yeah,
lifting.
We're
out
going
here.
with that one, definitely. -1.
Which is the opposite of trifling.
okay.
See, so
I'm just gonna do. I was thinking I'd do +2 in knowledge because of recall and analyze, but comprehend is where.
well, yeah. Also, as what Todd had said,
Right.
on your cards, what is your spellcasting ability? Because that might be the thing that you want to put.
Your big number in.
Yeah, so it was on my foundation card. It says spellcast. Mine's instinct.
Where does it say that?
Right.
So yours.
Oh, finesse.
Yeah, yours would be finesse.
Which makes sense for a rogue.
Yes.
Where's mine?
I gotta say, I went against
Nathan.
the
Instinct.
recommendation.
It's right there. It says spellcast and then one of the.
It would be on the
character
foundation
traits.
card.
Oh, gotcha. Instinct.
So yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about instinct for the +2 instead. So we'll do that.
So I decided to go against the recommended traits by putting my +1 in instinct, which is perceive, sense, and navigate instead of presence, which is charm, perform, and deceive. Could be a mistake, but
I'm gonna go against it also, because in here they say agility should be 0, but agility is sprinting, leaping, and maneuvering.
Not for a frog,
And not
man.
for a frog. I don't think so. Not
Right.
at all. So, I mean, maybe for a sorcerer, but not for a frog.
Right, and it's funny. It's funny you say that because
Yeah.
for a Galapa, well, for a bard, it's saying that agility for me should be a 0.
Yeah.
But I'm a turtle.
Yeah, you
so
are.
I'm putting my -1 into agility because
See,
I'm
you know,
I like
you gotta,
that.
Makes a
you
lot
gotta
of sense.
play it
Yeah.
to the character.
you gotta
Right.
do it.
right.
I'm putting my -1 definitely into presence. Bro has not seen a living creature, or not that many, seriously, so he doesn't know how to do anything like charm or perform or deceive. So
That's fair.
Totally makes sense.
yeah, but my +2 is an instinct because I feel like being a mechanical being, you'd have a pretty good knack for perceiving, sensing, and navigating.
Yeah.
As well as I think it said a 0 for strength, but I put a +1.
I think that
So I
makes
think
sense.
a metallic being would be pretty strong. And
Yeah,
plus,
I think so.
I don't want to really go with the suggested traits for the theme I'm trying to build.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like this guy is definitely like my body does not suit what my powers are. So I think it'd kind of be fun to make it a bit more difficult
I like that.
to enhance that role play.
So, do we want to go around and just say what we took, or
yeah.
okay? Garrett, you want to start? Did you do your whole array yet?
Yeah, no,
Go ahead.
I did mine. I put a +1 to agility, as we talked, the frog. Strength, -1.
There you
It
go.
definitely doesn't have any strength. Finesse, which is helping with your hide and stuff, which I felt the Wildborn background. I put a +1, instincts +2, presence is 0, and knowledge is 0. I mean,
Makes sense.
he's not too much of a social or knowledgeable Ginkgo Fury.
He be leaping.
He'd be leaping.
He'd be leaping.
And he'd be using that tongue.
He be licking
He'd be licking. He's using that
He'd be
tongue.
leaping and licking.
without charisma.
Yeah,
Wow.
without charisma.
Licking without Riz?
I mean, but I can lick from a distance too. So
Okay.
Wait a minute. Is
All
there
right.
consent?
okay,
No.
move it along.
All right.
All right. Are there frats in
Move
this world?
along.
For the Swaddler, I chose my ability scores for agility to be +1. Leaps, sprint maneuver, it's pretty good for a rogue. -1 on strength, he's a little guy, not really doing much lifting. +2 to finesse, because control, hide, and tinker are kind of the main things you're going to do as a rogue. A lot of hiding, I feel like. +1 to instinct, because I felt like perceiving, sensing, and navigating are things you have to be good at if you're going to, let's say, break into someone's house or kind of like stalk them. You kind of have to be good at your surroundings. Presence 0 and knowledge 0. Not the most talkative / like a book smart kind of guy, but yeah,
Right.
kind of gets around.
Cool.
He does what he has to do, but he's not like a smooth talker.
Nice.
Word.
Go ahead.
Like I said, I put my -1 in presence just because bro doesn't know how to interact with people. I put both of my 0s in agility and finesse. Agility because I feel like even though he doesn't really have a hang of his body, it's not that hard. I put +1 in strength and +1 in knowledge, and that +2 in instinct, so that I can, because I feel like a robot would have all these sensors and be able to perceive things on a level that other organic beings wouldn't be able to do.
Very nice.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Nuter's
Nuter.
traits. So agility, we said -1, which seems to make sense because a turtle is slow. Strength, I put a 0 in, even though it recommended the strength being the -1. I put it up a little bit simply because a turtle's got some bulk, and it feels like it should be a little bit stronger than a -1. In finesse, I have a +1. And you figure a turtle, given its general overall size, turning the pages of a book requires a certain amount of, dexterous skill. And also on top of that, hide is part of finesse's sort of descriptor. And I feel like, I've got a shell, and hiding
Right.
is one of my specialties, especially when I don't want to be bothered. Instincts I have a 0 on because, perceive, sense, and navigate. You walk into a lot of walls when you're reading. It happens.
That's true.
Now, presence is the spellcasting ability, so I naturally put +2 there. And knowledge, I, of course, kept at the +1, and that just seems to make the most sense.
I love
So,
that. Yeah. Makes total sense.
Word.
So I think the next area that we should probably talk about is both evasion and armor. I mean, because one, I'm excited about how this works. This game mechanic is really cool in this game. So typically, we're used to situations like back in my day when we had Thaco, and it was an armor class system based off of an armor class of 0, which nowadays is, just a number that's terrifying to other players. Armor now is a number that you can deduct from to reduce damage. Rather than it being a number that a GM would have to roll to hit you, it is a number that you can take away from to reduce the severity of damage. And as you take away from that number, your armor gets damaged and has to be repaired.
That's cool.
On the
That's tight.
flip side of that, evasion, the evasion number is the number a GM would have to roll in order to hit you.
Right.
So you have 2 scores now that you have to work on, and evasion is the first one. Now it tells you right on your specific character sheet what you're supposed to start at for
Right.
your evasion number. Although they were asking in open beta that we create suggestions and we talk about this, and I'm going to fill this out in the survey when I talk about it, but I feel like, and this has got to happen, I don't see how this couldn't happen, but why is there not a direct reference in the rules for agility score to impact evasion? Because I'm a -1 on agility, and I feel like if I'm going to start at a 9, I feel like that should be an 8 It just feels like that should be,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But that's me.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that.
Just a
I
thought.
get that. Yeah. So yeah, based on what armor you pick, it changes. So if you look at equipment on the equipment sheet, there's one for Nathan.
Word.
At the bottom are the armors. I mean, you could go with what they recommended, and you can see the light armor gives you +1 to evasion, and then if you go into the chainmail or the full plate, it gives you negatives to your evasion and your possible agility. So there's one thing that you just brought up. If you go with the full plate armor, you also have the -1 from agility. So there is an aspect of minusing agility also.
Right.
So-
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, the leather armor gives you +1 to evasion, so that's why I'm using that.
So
Right.
I'm going to, my sheet suggests that the sorcerer should be wearing a breastplate, which you don't change your evasion at all. And you have an armor score of 5. I chose to go with the leather armor, which is a light armor score of 3, and it gave me +1 to evasion, which I felt was more my character.
Yeah, I like that. I
so-
did something similar. I used leather armor, base score of 3 for armor, +1 to evasion, and the rogues start at 12 evasion,
So you're now at a 13.
13 evasion.
I'm at now at 10 evasion, so.
So, Garret, where are you getting the armor?
Did you know? Yeah, here, let me pass you one over.
Okay.
I don't think you got one of these sheets. The armor's at the bottom there. Those are starting weapons, equipment.
Oh, right. Now, do I get to pick any of these?
You get to pick any of those. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't read the full manual, but the couple of videos that I've watched, it seems like anyone can wear anything, unlike,
D&D.
D&D, where like a caster can't wear plate armor. It seems like there's no disadvantages to that.
Interesting.
So,
It seems nice that it's kind of another customizable thing for your character, because there are
Yeah.
pluses and minuses
Yeah.
to every armor
Yeah.
you pick.
Right.
so I haven't seen anything against that.
I wonder if that could, however, be a GM discretion
It could be.
thing too,
Yeah.
just to maybe.
It could be. I
yeah.
mean, or maybe that will change.
Right.
That might
Right.
just be, this is all how they're starting out. And what I've seen is there's no issue to picking whatever primary weapon or secondary weapon that you want to have.
Right.
Like, you don't have to be specialized in a certain weapon type to take it, is what I've seen. You might have read more in the actual manual, but I haven't seen anything that says that you can't take whatever you want to start with.
Yeah, I think a lot of it would have to do with burden, the number of hands that are used to
Yes.
carry the weapon,
Yeah.
and then the sensibility of, if you have. I also have not looked at, like, let's say you're a spellcaster, somatic components to a spell. If you're carrying a two-handed weapon and at the same time trying to cast, I don't see how that
It's
could
hard
work.
to say because my suggested primary weapon is a dual staff, which is a burden of both hands.
Right.
But they don't say anything about spellcasting. I mean, at least in my suggested stuff right here.
Right, but that was always typical of a wizard anyway.
Yeah.
Where you would carry a quarterstaff,
Yeah.
right?
But still be able to...
Still be able to cast
Yeah.
spells while utilizing that weapon.
Yeah, so I mean, that's stuff that we have to possibly look into,
Yeah.
but...
And I like that we're kind of being forced to consider a lot of these nuances of the physicality of each of these ancestries and what they would do. Well, in that case, I love the idea. I love the idea of a Galapa in chain.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
That'd be pretty dope.
I like
right?
that.
I think a
I
Galapa
like
in
that.
chain is
Yeah,
just,
why not,
Just to
right?
be
Pretty
safe.
dope.
You know what I mean? You're a smart guy. You play it's very safe.
chain over shell.
Yeah.
And then there's like this little flap that hangs down over the hole, so when his head comes out of the shell, it just sort of puts it on.
Yeah.
Just sort of pushes into the
I mean,
into
don't
the
get me
chain.
I
wrong.
feel like it's also kind of like Bilbo. You're gonna like hide it under your like very nice robes or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is like my mithril. Maybe I should put it under the shell.
Yeah. Wait, does that work?
Because you're not trying to rock it.
That might hurt.
Yeah.
All right, so if I pick chain, that gives me an armor score of 7.
And then you've got a -1 to evasion.
A -1 to evasion, right, because it's heavy.
Yes.
So that puts me down to an 8 on evasion.
Wait, sorry, Rom, I'm gonna wait. I was reading ahead when it comes to weapons, and I got really impressed by something, but we'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay.
Why don't we go there next?
I was gonna say,
Everyone-
why don't we
did
go there
everyone
next?
pick their armor?
Oh, I chose breastplate armor.
Okay.
Just because I don't think it's like a real physical breastplate, but I'd assume there'd be
kinda
some
how
sort of
it's built in,
protective,
really.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you know, he's made out of metal, but it's nothing like too heavy and clunky. I feel like it would be a designed material that is lightweight and strong,
Right.
Yeah,
right?
Right, that makes sense.
Like that.
seems like your typical standard armor.
Right. Yeah.
Moving on to weapons. I saw something. Each weapon has a feature, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it just the primary weapon that has a feature and the
Well,
secondary weapon
it
has
seems
a feature?
some weapons have features that
Yeah, it
others
seems
do
like
not.
some of them do.
Okay. Let me see.
I feel like, given my evasion and my slowness, I'm going to be more of a ranged weapon fighter. It just feels right. So I would probably go with a crossbow.
I like that.
It just seems right.
Yeah.
Now it says, I want to look up something really quickly.
I do like the dagger that you can mark a stress to attack an additional target in range. So you can go bang, mark a stress, and go like bang.
Yeah, I love that, especially for the rogue. That seems appropriate.
Yeah.
It says on the top of your character guide, it says suggested weapons. Now, for me, it says suggested primary weapon is a rapier. Secondary weapon is a dagger. I kind of like that. It says breastplate is suggested, but I gotta go chain.
What am I vibing with? I think I'm personally thinking of just taking the suggestions for it because I looked at them and I started tinkering with what I think environmental interface, or EI, I guess, EIEIO, would call these weapons. I think for the short staff, he would call it bleed-inducing interface, and a round shield for the secondary is tactical impact absorbent. Yeah,
Oh, you're knocking it out of the park with this stuff.
I'm loving it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to change my mind because I love the suggested weapon of the rapier here. Because I feel like the rapier, for someone who is bookish and sort of, it just feels in its size that it's, number one, it's small, it's refined.
Right.
I feel like Nuter would really like a more refined weapon. So I'm going rapier.
And the way you finesse the books and like this hand posture you seem to have,
Well,
the manipulation of the wrist with the rapier would be
just
something you
makes
like.
sense.
Not only that, but also the manipulation of the words is like a craft, right? The use of a rapier is like a craft.
It's like an
Wordsmith
artist.
is a craftsman.
Right.
Yes, so this is more of the weapon of a craftsman.
So it's less about force and overpowering your opponent. It's about being able to craft a moveset.
It most closely resembles the pen, and the pen is mightier than the sword.
I love it.
This is fucking great. This is just fucking great.
We gotta talk about like how much you can customize everything around your character.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everything
Right.
can like add to it.
And on top of that, the rapier's trait, the rapier's trait is presence. And so, of course, you're probably going to want to match
Yeah.
right? Because a crossbow is
Right.
finesse, and I am totally not. I mean, I have a little bit of finesse, but I have more presence than finesse. So rapier it is.
Oh, I got to do double daggers because it's a paired weapon,
Ooh.
and you get +2 to your primary weapon damage in melee when you have both.
Nice.
What if you had a grappler? Like, is that like a net?
What do you mean?
Like a grappler?
Grappler is
that
like a hook, yeah.
Oh, it's a hook. Damn. What if you had a net spun out of your own silk?
Ooh, like I just kind of like hooked
Yeah.
them
Yeah, get hooked by my butt.
in. That is kind of cool.
My butt silk.
That is kind of cool.
Oh my god.
Oh, so I would pull someone from further range closer and then give them a little stabby stab.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
could we please call it butt silk?
Yeah, I pull my butt silk, of course.
Because you don't know there's an actual name for it, you know?
I like that. I
Right.
like
There
that.
is now.
butt silk.
Look at you with the strats.
I've been playing Elden Ring all week. I'm all about the strats.
That'll do it.
So I'm guessing we don't have any changes because I'm just looking through the character creation sheet, which they kind of got like walk you through it. We skipped set your threshold and hope.
Oh, did we skip that?
Yeah, each class starts with its own damage threshold. It's detailed on the character sheet under the hit point sections. So I'm guessing we don't have any changes to that. It just tells you to start with your minor, major, and severe threshold.
Right.
And I'm assuming that we all have different like hit point blocks that are like circled.
I believe so.
and
I
stress
have
blocks?
1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6.
I have 6.
I have 6.
For what?
Hit points.
Under hit points, how many of the boxes are circled?
Or
1, 2,
darkened.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
So is that right?
It might. I believe it is. But, well, wait a minute. The more
Yeah, but
important thing to
that's-
ask are your hit point thresholds. Mine are 3, 8, and 13. What are yours?
4, 9, 14.
See, they are different.
3, 8, 13. Because
4, 9, 14.
Okay, so do you
They are
understand what they're
different.
talking about here? Because I can explain this. It's actually really kind of cool. So when a GM makes an attack on you, or a creature, I should say, makes an attack on you, because I'm not after you, the creature is, and I roll damage.
Right.
If my damage falls inside of these thresholds, so let's say it's severe damage, because I
Right.
roll 14 damage, you're going to mark 3 of those 6 circles.
Oh,
right?
shit.
So now imagine hit
Oh,
points being
shit.
more like hearts in Minecraft or Legend of Zelda, where it's sort of like just a series of markers, and when you run out of them, or in this case, fill them up, that's when it gets bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Shit.
So now the cool thing is if I'm not mistaken, there's lots of ways to mitigate that incoming damage. So one of those ways is to use your armor to mitigate that. So
Right.
you can reduce the amount of damage coming in by an amount by spending armor.
Oh, so you want to get it under the threshold.
Correct. So if you drop below the thresholds, you're getting a lot less damage
So,
done to you.
Yeah, you have you essentially have I don't know how you want to call them, but armor slots, or your armor will break after. I mean, I have 3 boxes.
I have 3 boxes.
darkened.
Same.
So I guess you get to use that armor 3 times to possibly reduce the threshold. So if you're within your armor range of reducing it to say a minor, you could use it, and that would then partially break your armor, but you get to a lower.
So by
You
using
know.
it, you're saying you're going to reduce the damage by 3, and that would
So-
completely use your armor?
Yeah. So say something hits you for 15 points. Your severe threshold is at 14. So if you spend an armor, you would drop it down to a 12, which is then a major threshold for you. And you
Okay, so
would
by
take
spending
2
one
hit-
armor,
Yes.
you're dropping the damage down by
by
whatever,
your armor,
by your armor
rating.
Oh,
Yes. So your
okay.
armor rating drops the incoming damage, then you still calculate the damage into a threshold, and then a hit point.
I thought it was more so like you have 3 armors to spend. So if like I got 15 damage, I could spend 2 of my armors to get it below 14.
No, there's a certain amount that each expenditure of armor drops it.
Yeah.
But you can do it more than once. Right?
I think
So-
you can spend 2 armor slots to possibly get it down to,
to come down twice
Yeah.
the amount.
so minus it by 6 essentially.
Right.
Gotcha.
So,
So-
if we
Gotcha.
go to...
So you can choose how many times you expend it.
Yes. But your armor can break. You have to repair it.
I saw that as an activity
That's part of your downtime.
downtime.
Lucky maybe you too.
Try not to
Stop
yawn.
yawning. You're killing
Sorry.
me.
Sorry,
He-
what happened again?
He started it.
I didn't mean
Oh,
it.
Going around the
you
table.
passed.
Well, you don't care about us?
Nathan's
What are you, a
just
sociopath?
so
I made
psycho.
fucking sure. No, I had to yawn, and I was like, no, I'm not yawning.
Wow, okay, sure. That's exactly what a sociopath
I'm not a
would
follower.
Wow.
Say. Exactly
Wow.
what a sociopath would
Okay.
say.
I wonder
all
why
right.
you were playing a robot.
Okay, all right.
And everyone starts with 2 hope. So if you want to mark 2 little bubbles in your hope column. Yep. Everyone then take 2 hope to start the game.
Interesting. And what is a stress?
Yeah, we got to figure that one out.
What's a stress?
That's the GM.
Okay, so stress, when you are, there are certain damage amounts that fall below the threshold, right? So you mark 1 hit point at minor, right? But let's say you take 2 points of damage. Well, that's below your lowest threshold, which
You
I
mark a
believe in your
stress.
case is 4. You mark a stress, right? Now, once your stress is completely filled, anything that would cause you to mark a stress now becomes a hit point mark.
Oh, that's tough.
Right?
Yes,
And there
that's
are
right.
other things later on, including healing and downtime and rest, that can reduce stress, hit points, or both. So,
I love that.
yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So
And
it's like,
yeah, and some of your abilities you have to mark a stress. That's how you would gain it. So you can either gain it by, like Todd said, either 1 or 2 or whatever's below your minor threshold in damage, or there are abilities that say mark a stress. Like I think to use my tongue, also mark stress.
yeah, like your dagger. When you wanted to make the second attack with the dagger, you had to mark a stress.
Yeah.
So I guess apparently what's happening is there are physical exertions on your body that would actually either tire you or cause you some kind of exertion,
Yeah.
right? That later, as you begin to take damage, the damage would have a heavier impact on you.
And it seems to go along with this whole more theatrical vibe that they're going for, because you can play up, oh, I'm more stressed at the moment. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I'm going through it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that kind of stuff.
You can turn that into narrative.
My armor is chipped. This is my last stand.
I was thinking about that too, because I was like, fuck, how am I gonna play around stress and hope? Because I don't think this character would understand what stress or hope are. I mean, other than physical stress, but like emotional stress or what hope is. I'm not even sure for the first little while that my character would actually use hope until it realizes what it is. You know?
Yeah, but that's specific to, the sort of backstory and,
Right.
and development of your character. Why don't we get to experience? Because I think that's probably the last thing we have to really do before we wrap up this character, right, Garret?
The only other thing, and I know Rich has done it, I don't know if Nathan has done it, I have not, is taking your domain deck cards,
Right.
which are your starting spells or abilities. Currently at level 1, we get to pick 2 cards.
2 cards.
So you have 2 domains in your, I guess essentially your loadout, or that you can pull from. You would pick 2 of those, one of each, 2 of one domain, or vice versa.
Yeah, so in mine, I believe I have Codex and Grace. So my Grace domain is sort of denoted by the pink
Yes.
butterfly in the
Yep.
corner. My Codex domain is denoted by the book up here. And so I could pick 2 from one or 1 from each.
Yeah, it's 1 from each or 2 from one. It
And these
doesn't
are
matter.
essentially spells.
These are essentially spells or abilities that you get to use or expend, or these are your loadouts for your character.
Right. And I know what I'm doing.
And it seems like they're treating the abilities, the same as spells. Because like in D&D, there's a big difference between like having an ability that wouldn't go away as like a fighter, and having like limited amount of spells per long rest. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay. There's a lot of reading here.
There is. And
We should have maybe.
That's okay.
I have mine if you want me to.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to be picking
All right,
them
so
off.
I picked from the. I don't know the names of the.
They're at the top of your list. Midnight and
Okay,
Grace.
so for Midnight, I picked Pick and Pull, which means I have advantage on any attempt to pick a non-magical lock, disarm a trap, or steal an item from a target, either through stealth or by force. And that seems to go align with something I would do as a rogue. And then from my Grace ability, I chose Deft Deceiver. I can send a hope to take advantage on a roll you make to deceive or trick someone into believing a lie you tell them.
Nice.
And I feel like both of those kind of fit the flavor very well.
Yeah, I think for mine, I'm going to choose one from the spell category in Grace and one from the Grimoire category of the Codex. So I'm going to take Book of Tifar. There's 3 things in the Book of Tifar. 1, Wild Flame. Make a spell cast roll against up to 3 enemies very close to you. A flame erupts from your hand, dealing 2d6 magic damage to any you succeed against. 2, Magic Hand. You can reach out with a magical hand the same size and strength as your own to anywhere within far range of you. 3, Mysterious Mist. Spend a hope to cast a temporary thick fog that encircles a stationary area up to very close range your current location. Everyone within is hidden to anybody outside that fog. So that's just Book of Tifar. That gives me quite a bit.
Yeah.
The spell I'm taking from Grace is Inspirational Words, no surprise. You can imbue your speech with enhancing power. You can mark a stress when you recite your words and choose an option from the list below to grant to an ally who hears it. 1, clear stress. 2, heal a hit point. Or 3, gain a hope.
Ooh.
So I can inspire you. Okay, so those are mine.
That's
You
really
good?
cool.
Yeah, I'm
You
good.
wanna go?
So I chose from Sage at level 1. I chose Gifted Tracker, where you make a spellcast roll to track something or ask the GM a question that you'd be able to learn by, following somebody's tracks or looking at a specific group of people. Basically, like, all right, I see these people. What does my analysis and intuition say? And basically just get a little bit of extra information on people and things. Then from Arcana, I chose Unleash Chaos. It starts with, at the beginning of a session, place a number of tokens equal to your spellcast trait on this card. You gotta pour it out, in traditional.
I don't have our mug. I'm sorry.
In traditional
Rude.
Withered Bloom
I'm sorry.
fashion. You can make a spellcast roll against a target within far range, and spend any number of tokens to channel raw energy from within yourself and unleash it against them. And there's a little bit more about like how this functions. I think it does you roll a d10 and you see how much it does, but I think that's a pretty cool power.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that. So I had a hard time choosing. There's so many cool things
Yeah.
to choose from, but I had the Arcana and Midnight domains, and I chose both from the Arcana domain. One is a spell that is Rune Ward. I have a deeply personal trinket or token that it's infused with protective magic, and I can spend a hope to essentially a shield. I can reduce incoming damage by a 1d8. And there's an aspect to it that if you roll a d8, it, I think, temporarily ends and reduces damage this turn. So
awesome.
that was really cool. And then I took Unleash Chaos. Is that the one that you just took?
Which
Did
one?
you take Unleash Chaos?
I took Unleash Chaos.
So same thing.
Nice.
It's a spellcast roll against a target in range, in a far range, and you load it up with tokens at the beginning of your turn or the beginning of the round, and you can reload it. And so it's essentially a blast spell effect that uses a D10.
That's awesome.
And you can mark stress to reload the tokens if you essentially run
Yeah.
out. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's very
That is pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, one other thing that we didn't go over is they use different terms. So if you're not using a map, they use the different terms of.
Oh, yeah.
It's, what is it? Very close, far, very far, or something like that. They have a whole.
We could get into that with combat, but
Yeah.
basically the differences in ranges, rather than using feet, they're talking more in generalities to decide whether or not you can hit someone with, a melee attack or with a ranged attack, or distances in terms of how one would travel. The other thing that's out, which is kind of interesting, it seems is out, are the specific number of gold pieces you might have.
yes.
So gold now comes in a handful, a bag full, a chest full, or...
It's like a horde or a fortune or something like
Correct.
that. Yeah.
And so,
Right.
I'm interested to see how that will play out when it comes to the pricing.
It's
of
interesting, yeah.
Yeah, give me 3 handfuls of gold for that sword. It's
Well,
like,
and one thing that I saw is that was questioned was, my ribbit hand is definitely a different size than
True.
say,
Giant hands.
a giant's hand,
yes.
or a little tiny fairy's
I'm
hand.
gonna have one little goal.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's one thing that was brought to the attention is maybe the gold system's a little. It's different.
Right.
It's different, but that's something to figure out.
So here's something that I suggest right now, since we've been at it for like a little over an hour now. What if we complete our character sheets this week before we come into our next session, where we actually begin the game, and then at the beginning of the game we can talk about backstory and experience, because I think that's actually a really good way to introduce the characters to one another. But there are some really interesting things in there that I just want to point out. So one, character description on your specific character sheet. There's this section where it's like choose one or more from each line, and it's like clothes that are oversized and ragged, eyes like an endless ocean, body that's like, for me, rotund, the color of sapphire, an attitude like a barkeep. So for me, these things are like, I love they're specific to me. I'm sure yours are different than that. And I love how that starts to begin a picture of how to fill out, that whole description of yourself. Experiences, I think, are something we'll start off with next week, because that is really specific, but also very general. It's specific to you and your imagination. There are no tables for this in the book as of yet. And it even talks about how not to be too general or too specific, because these experiences give you bonuses and rolls. And it's sort of a way for you to really nuance your character for you, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, you kind of.
I didn't know you get bonuses.
Yeah, it's essentially like D&D, your ability scores, or
Yeah,
your
your
ability
skills and
modifier, the
proficiencies.
skills and proficiencies. The experiences are essentially the same thing. You would gain a proficiency in an experience. It's kind of like what Todd was saying. It's very loose.
Yeah, but
It's-
now rather than being restricted to a list of, I don't know what's on there, 20 things, you can now make up your own. So you're like, I am a master baker, right? Well, great, you're a master baker. Put that down. That's going to be your +2 experience. And so later, when we're in the game somewhere and you encounter something where that very strange, it might be too specific. That might be too specific. But anyway,
Yeah.
that could help you in a role, because you're like, wait a minute, I'm a master baker. I should be the one making this check. So that's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
But I think we should kind of break for now. And I think this is a great session.
Yeah.
And I think we've come up with some really interesting characters, first of all. I think these are absolutely killer.
I like these.
Yeah, no,
So
let's finish it.
So we got Ginkgo Fury.
Ginkgo Fury.
We've got the Swaggler?
Swaddler.
The Swaddler. I said the Swaggler.
A little bit of that too, hey.
Right? We have EI, which stands for
The environmental interface.
the environmental interface, and Nutter. So
Nutter butter.
Nutter butter. Neuter.
This is exciting, man.
I'm excited.
Is your
Yeah.
surname Booter?
No.
Yes, please.
Nutter Booter.
Little Debbie, dude. That's your mom.
Oh my god. All right, we're going to wrap this one up, but stay tuned for next week's drop. We're actually going to play this game. We're going to spend some more time together and see what we can do.
Yeah.
We're loving on Daggerheart so far.
We're excited.
For sure.
We're excited.
And the music in the background right now is played by Pocket Bard, which we always have loved. They're coming out with a new drop. The beta test for the Windows drop is coming.
Yes.
All right, cool. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and follow. We will talk to you soon. All right, take care, everybody.
Adios.